If you were born in the 90s or early 2000s, you probably love Pokemon, a mega popular thing that's captured the hearts of millions all over the world. And here's a fun fact. It's made more money than even Star Wars, Marvel, and Mickey Mouse. But Pokemon isn't just a game. It's more like a huge deal. It's affected our pop culture, how we do things, and even science. Plus, it's brought in tons of cash for the people who made it. As of 2023, Pokemon is worth about $92 billion. That's a lot of money, and it makes Pokemon the biggest moneymaker ever. Now, how did Pokemon get so huge? How did a game idea that Nintendo, a big gaming company, said no to end up being this famous and rich? To get those answers, we need to go back to the beginning. We need to go back to the year 1989, when two friends founded a small game development company called Game Freak. They didn't have much, no money, no fame, and no experience. But they did have a big dream. They wanted to make their own video games. And they had this cool idea to make a game about catching and trading creatures, kind of like bugs. And that idea turned into Pokemon, the most famous video game thing ever. But it wasn't simple. They had to deal with loads of problems, rejections, and tough stuff along the way. They worked super hard and gave up a lot to make their dream real. And this is the insane story behind Pokemon. And it starts with a kid named Satoshi Tajiri, who had a passion for catching bugs. Chapter 1: The Birth of Game Freak. Satoshi Tajiri was born on August 28, 1965, in Mashida, a quiet part of Tokyo. As a kid, he loved chasing bugs, so much that his friends called him Dr. Bug. He initially wanted to be an insect expert, but things changed as he got older. Over time, Mashida became more like a city, and the bugs became scarce. Satoshi's interest shifted to video games, especially arcade games. He enjoyed them so much that he sometimes skipped school and struggled in high school. One day, an arcade owner recognized his talent and gifted him a Space Invaders machine. Satoshi didn't attend college, but he did study electronics for a couple of years at a technical school. His fascination with arcade games led him to create Game Freak, a DIY magazine with tips and cheat codes for arcade games. During this venture, he met Ken Sugimori, an artist who later became his friend. They kept the magazine going for 4 years, but eventually, they decided to make their own games instead of writing about them. So, they learned programming and even tinkered with their Nintendo Famicom console to create their games. Their first creation was Quinty, a puzzle game where players had to flip tiles to dodge enemies. They tried pitching their game to Nintendo, but it got rejected. Undeterred, they approached various publishers until Namco agreed to release their game. However, there was a catch. They needed to officially establish Game Freak as a company, which they did in 1989, marking the beginning of their journey as game developers. Chapter 2: The Inspiration of Pokemon. As I mentioned at the beginning, Satoshi Tajiri had a deep love for bugs and video games from the time he was a child. And now his dream was to create a game that would bring these two passions together. And one day, his imagination took flight when he spotted two Game Boys connected by a cable. He wondered, what if bugs could crawl through that wire? This sparked his idea for a game where you catch creatures, like the ones you find in those vending machine capsule toys, and trade them with friends. Excited by his cool concept, Satoshi approached Nintendo with his idea. However, Nintendo didn't quite grasp it. They thought it was too strange and complicated for their customers. Yet, they didn't flat out reject it. Thanks to Shigeru Miyamoto, the creator of Mario and Satoshi's mentor, they gave him a shot. In 1990, Satoshi and his team at Game Freak began working on the game. At first, they called it Capsule Monsters, but later it became Pocket Monsters, or Pokemon for short. Their goal was to craft a game that made players feel like they were exploring a new world, discovering new creatures, and having exciting adventures. They also designed a whole world where these Pokemon lived and where players could journey, battle, and collect them. But making this game was not a walk in the park. Game Freak had a lot of problems and challenges along the way. They had money troubles, technical glitches, staff changes, and doubts from the industry. They had to work hard and give up a lot to make their dreams come true. Chapter 3: The Struggle of Pokemon. Creating Pokemon was a lengthy process. It took 6 whole years, longer than any other Nintendo game at the time. As they worked on it, Game Freak faced some money troubles and had to take on extra jobs for other companies to make ends meet. They also had to use some old, unreliable computers that often crashed and caused them to lose their work. One of the toughest moments was when one of their computers, containing all the important game data, like the Pokemon and the main character, suddenly stopped working. Junichi Masuda, who made the music and helped with the programming, had to consult English manuals to recover the lost data. It felt like a make-or-break situation for the game. Throughout these years, the team faced challenges and even lost some members, with some working without pay due to financial constraints. However, they never gave up on their dream and continued working on the game with dedication and love. Despite the hurdles, they also had to deal with criticism from other game developers. The Game Boy they were creating the game for wasn't as popular in Japan anymore, and many people doubted that a game involving battling and collecting monsters would be enjoyable. Some even found the idea of trading Pokemon with friends strange and difficult. Nevertheless, Game Freak remained unfazed by the naysayers as they had the support of Nintendo and Shigeru Miyamoto. They had an ace up their sleeve in the form of a hidden surprise, a mysterious Pokemon named Mew, added at the last minute by Shigeki Morimoto, who contributed to creating Pokemon and the game's programming. Originally intended for the developers' amusement, Mew mistakenly appeared in some regular games. This unexpected inclusion piqued players' curiosity and excitement, prompting them to seek more information about this rare and enigmatic Pokemon. Chapter 4: The Success of Pokemon. In 1996, 2 games, Pokemon Red and Green, were released in Japan. They didn't do great at first, but as word spread, more folks wanted them. These games were cool because they had awesome gameplay, graphics, music, and were really unique. This whole Pokemon thing led to other stuff like a card game, a show, and lots of things you could buy. In Japan, Pokemon got super popular, and tons of fans wanted to catch them all. These games also had a nifty feature where you could connect with players worldwide using a cable thingy. Then, in 1998, Pokemon made its way to the United States as Pokemon Red and Blue. Some folks thought Americans wouldn't dig a game about battling and collecting creatures, but they were proven wrong. Pokemon became a hit in the US too. The card game, the show, and the merchandise followed suit. It wasn't just Japan and the US though. Pokemon became a global sensation, adored by kids everywhere. They collected cards, watched cartoons, played games, and traded Pokemon with their buddies. But not everyone was thrilled. Some parents and schools had concerns about its impact on kids' education, health, and morals. But nothing could slow down Pokemon's rise. In 1999, the franchise released its first movie, Pokemon: The First Movie, which was a huge hit, ranking in over $170 million worldwide. This film introduced a super Pokemon, Mewtwo, created by scientists from Mew's DNA. Viewers even got a special Mewtwo card as a bonus. That same year, they also rolled out a special game called Pokemon Yellow, mirroring the show. In this game, you started with Pikachu, just like Ash Ketchum, the show's main character. It featured better graphics, sound, and cool additions like Surfing Pikachu and encounters with Team Rocket. Pokemon expanded to different gaming experiences too. On the Nintendo 64, we got Pokemon Snap, a game where you took pictures of Pokemon in various locations. It was fun and adorable, plus you could print your snapshots. Pokemon Stadium was another gem, letting you use your Game Boy Pokemon in 3D battles. As the years went by, Pokemon kept growing and improving. New games, cards, shows, and merchandise kept coming, each with new Pokemon, places, challenges, and adventures. Pokemon turned into a massive hit, outpacing even Star Wars, Marvel, and Mickey Mouse in terms of financial success. Chapter 5: The Revolution of Pokemon Go. In 2016, Pokemon celebrated a significant milestone, its 20th birthday. During this special year, a groundbreaking game emerged, altering the Pokemon landscape: Pokemon Go. Created by Niantic, a company known for crafting games that interacted with the real world, this game utilized GPS and your device's camera to let you catch Pokemon in the real world. Pokemon Go was unlike anything we'd ever seen before. It motivated millions of people worldwide to venture outdoors in pursuit of their beloved Pokemon. This experience also fostered social connections, as players could join teams, compete for gyms, and collaborate during raids. Regular events and updates introduced new elements and Pokemon into the game. Beyond being just a game, Pokemon Go became a way of life. It inspired happiness, health, and camaraderie. It also raked in substantial revenue for Niantic and Nintendo, setting records for downloads and earnings. In its first month alone, Pokemon Go amassed over $200 million and attracted more than 200 million players. Nonetheless, the game had its fair share of issues. Technical problems like server crashes, bugs, glitches, and hackers frequently frustrated players. Additionally, fans yearned for features such as trading, battles, and more Pokemon. Some features, like tracking, were even removed by Niantic. Pokemon Go's impact wasn't all positive. Tragic incidents, accidents, and crimes caused injuries and even fatalities among players. Some individuals ventured into risky areas or engaged in unsafe behaviors while hunting for Pokemon. Others became overly addicted or obsessed, neglecting their responsibilities and health. As the initial fervor waned, many players abandoned the game, citing boredom and frustration. Niantic sought to rekindle interest by introducing new features and events, but not all fans were pleased with their efforts. Despite the ups and downs, Pokemon Go endured and evolved over the years, thanks to Niantic's dedication and the loyal fanbase. The game eventually incorporated desired elements like trading, battles, and additional Pokemon. Special events and collaborations lured both new and returning players. The game also adapted to the COVID-19 pandemic, offering options for players to enjoy the game safely from home. Pokemon Go's popularity and financial success rebounded over the years, once again setting records for downloads and earnings. In 2020, 4 years after its launch, the game reached a remarkable milestone, amassing over 150 million players and surpassing $1 billion in revenue. It became a standout game of the decade, proving that Pokemon's charm remained undiminished.